All right. So this is the part of the show where we talk a little bit about China and China issues, right? So I understand that you have strong positions. So what do we talk about? You said earlier that you identify yourself as half black, half white. How has that affected your life in China?
Well, I mean, kind of like we talked about earlier. I mean, becoming a teacher or just doing that or just being accepted in general is very hard because I get associated as a black person. I mean, and here it seems like if you're white, it's wow, you have to be amazing. If you're 100% white, you must be. Everything must be awesome about you. And it's just that's one of the difficult things when I mean I'm sure for people who come here and they're trying to date people, especially Chinese girls or something like that. I'm sure that because I've had friends that are black that have run into this situation where it's hard for them to date girls because they think that something's wrong with them because they're black. I've had white friends here in China.
But is that the girl or is their families, for example? Because I think that girls are okay. Because I think that the fact that they want to get serious with somebody and they have to bring that man to
maybe
their
to
family.
That may be what they're running into.
But it's not like it doesn't exist back home. Maybe it was back home, right?
Yeah, it's definitely back home too. It is definitely back home. I mean, this is something derived from home though, bringing it to China and then just dealing with it differently here because you don't see people. It's not like American racism. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's not as deep.
No, it's
right?
just
it's
so you can tell what it is, you know, at the very topical part of it. It's like, oh, they just want someone white. That's just what it is, it seems like. I don't know.
So in your face?
You know, actually,
because I mean, what I'm saying, like in the West, people, nobody wants to be called racist or anything. So everybody's trying to cover it up. They don't want to be seen as, you know what I mean? But here in China, it's blatant. I mean, I've heard people say
they don't know that they're racist. Like,
what do they say when you tell them you're racist?
They're like, no, I'm not. How could I be racist? We don't even have, you know, racism here. And I'm like, but that's what you're doing right now. This is exactly.
You need to educate them what is racism before they understand.
Exactly.
Did you ever have anyone like, oh, you know what? Yeah, that is wrong. Did you have anyone realize?
No, okay, but let me ask you a question. The table, we are called Waigoran. Black people are called Heiren.
Right.
Most times,
really?
black people are not called Waigoran.
Right.
How do you explain that? I mean,
that's
they're putting in. Yeah, they're just basically going based off their skin color.
Like
if you're if you're Heiren, which is black people, or all the others that are not, that's pretty much what they're saying.
Right.
So it's they do create a line that says, okay, this is Waigoran, which is basically a person from abroad, a foreigner, and then there's the black people.
But in their mind, it isn't racism.
You guys in the industry, right? Teaching, do you correct? Do you take the time to correct? Do you get upset in their face? Do you
not upset?
I do.
Oh, you do.
I do.
Because a lot of times they don't. If they're kids, they don't even know. You know.
Sure, but these kids have parents, and let's be real. These parents are wealthy. These parents are educated. These parents have not done their homework.
Right.
So I make it a point to talk to the parents. And like, for example, I had a student call a teacher. I had a black teacher. Called him Hey Ren. I went nuts. I'm like, you're not coming here. Take your money. Sorry. So like, you better educate. I mean, we are teachers. We don't educate. We teach. We just give them a skill.
But wait a second.
Values, and they come from home.
We also say black people.
All
right.
Yeah, but you.
I mean, they could tell you that. Hey, you say too. You know.
That's a good point, but there's not a differentiation between foreigner and black people. I mean, how would you?
Is it okay to say black people? That's normal today. I mean, but it's not.
Depends.
Is it wrong?
It depends. Like it depends on your audience. It depends on the black audience that you're listening to.
I
said there's I'm telling just like say the N word, right?
Right.
We were kind of discussing this, but the N word is very. This word is probably the worst word you could say to anybody that has black skin color,
Right.
right?
Right.
Or is black. You know what I'm saying? Like
Not because
people,
of the word, because of the history with the word.
of course,
Yeah.
yeah. And then you say that word, and people say it. You know, like in America, people say it like you know, we say it to our friends and stuff like that.
Right.
That's probably not good. Probably shouldn't be saying that way either. But for someone to come up and say something like that in your face, if for me, it would I want to fight you because I've been through so much in my life with that.
I say white people a lot, but I have to, you know, every time I say it, it feels a little wrong. It does.
When you say white people,
Yeah, because saying white people is like saying like it's, you know, it's the same thing, right? If I say white people, then I
have a question. What about in America? I mean, if you have an Asian person, a Chinese person in America, is that person a foreigner or a Chinese?
they're Asian.
You're Asian.
Asian is correct, I guess.
But that's,
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's what I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying, like, the usual thing, the context of Chinese, Japanese, Korean, and like everybody just kind of goes under Asian. You know what I'm saying? They're Asian. I mean, that's what I've seen. I'm not saying
It's a
100%.
description, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that Asian guy, or
So would that
he
make
was
it okay?
Asian,
Also,
or you could say he had a black shirt instead of saying that. I mean,
no.
But I
I
guess-
mean, what
but I
I'm trying
guess-
to get to is I'm actually kind of thinking about my action when I went nuts over this little girl that went to the teacher.
right?
Hey, Ren, because you're right. We also call
Black people,
black
black
people.
people.
Right.
So, like, if, in America, if you were to see a bunch of black people, now you don't know if they're from, you know, Africa or wherever, you know, they're from America, right?
Mhm.
But they have that black, they have darker skin.
Yeah.
You know, just like you're from Colombia, right?
Yeah.
You have people that have darker skin than me,
Yeah.
you know, that are Colombian, but they would be considered black, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a bunch of them and you see them, you would call them black people. And then you saw a bunch of people over here, regardless of where they're from, but they're white. They have that, you know, pale skin, white people. You know what I'm saying? So I guess
Right.
now
The
that you,
same
I mean,
thing.
bringing it up, I guess you're right. I mean, like, I didn't even think about that, but
Saying
I
white
guess
people
saying
is
hey
the same.
Ren, yeah, hey Ren, and saying white people or
It's the
saying
same like saying black people.
Wagoran, but they don't say white people. They say
But you know, we don't. Say,
foreigners.
Yeah.
So black people are still foreigners,
but
right?
I would never say yellow. Like some, even Chinese people, they say they're yellow. Like I've heard it from.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
It's
that's
weird
horrible. Yeah.
to say that. You know what I mean?
What about this experience that you've had with discrimination lately here in China? You wanna-
Right, right. With this situation recently, they're being afraid with people coming from other countries.
Oh my goodness, we've been going through this a lot.
Yeah, so I mean, recent days, yeah, I've seen more and more people walking away from me.
Uh-huh.
So every time I had this experience, it upsets me. It's the first time I deal with discrimination in my life, I would say, even though I'm Jewish. You know, growing up in Israel, never really had that experience. And it hurts me because I feel like it's my home here. So suddenly
Well,
I realize,
What was the detail of the experience? Sorry, because people don't really know.
right. So, you know, with the virus and coming from outside, they think maybe from Italy or from different countries, you have a chance that you have it, and they see a foreigner, they just classify it as oh, maybe he got it, and they walk away from you. I had it on the subway.
Mm-hmm.
People just walked away from me. The other day, I wanted to go to the vet to visit my cat. Was sick, and they didn't let me into the street. There was a checkpoint, you know, with a fever, taking the temperature, and they saw foreigners. The police came, and my daughter was crying, like, why they're not letting us in? And I was like, guys, and you know, they were nice, personally nice, but I was like, I was here this whole time, right?
It's just the rule, or
I think they were covering their asses. I think I think it was. They say something like it's the last day of checking because, you know, recently the situation was good here, right? And then they just didn't let me in, and I had a code. I was like, I was here the whole time. My wife is American. I'm Israeli. I'm like, I'm from Israel, you know, because America is in deeper shit right now. But and they just didn't let me in, and I was like, it happened to me a few times before, and I got too upset, and I was like, you know, guys, I know you're doing your job. I know you're doing your job, you know, but when people did it in other countries to Asians a month ago, I was very unhappy about it. I was very mad about it, and now you're doing the same, right? You're unreasonable. I mean, I didn't come here yesterday. I can show you everything, but they just didn't want to take the risk, right? So I think I consider this my home. and suddenly you realize, oh, yeah, it's not your home, I guess. You know, you are a foreigner, and you feel discrimination is you feel it stronger, and the first time feeling it is like shit. You know, that's what black people in some places have to deal with all their life, and I mean Jews in Europe, 70 years ago, and Asians, right? It's really bad. So it makes you think about it more.
I only have experiences with discrimination when I cross borders. So you show your Colombian passport and this way, sir, can we have a word with you?
And it makes me think. It makes me think about something that my people discriminate a lot against. I mean, Muslims. This is really bad, right? I mean, how many Muslims are terrorists? It's a small percent, but they're all labeled.
Yeah,
it's terrible. Yeah.
So, do you incorporate any of this racial background and your history with discrimination or experiences into your comedy at any point?
Of course.
Yeah?
That's a lot of what I talk about. I talk a lot about race and a lot about my experiences that I've gone through in my life, dealing with being light-skinned, like all of the things I go through with all of my friends and all of the shit I've gone through with like dating girls and growing up and just the cops. Oh,
you have discriminations from both sides.
Oh yeah,
Did you experience discrimination from both sides?
Both sides, yeah, definitely.
So it's like double.
Yeah, like because I'm always the white guy or always the black guy.
Right.
And then yeah, it's I'm telling you, man, it's exactly what it is.
That's a recipe for some good jokes.
Yeah, it helps. It
There's
definitely
material
helps.
right there.
Yeah,
Right.
good material. Yeah. Is there anyone like that in comedy that you see?
Not really who throws out because there's not a lot of light-skinned comedians out there, but there are some, I'm sure, and I'm sure they talk about this because we all go through it, being
Right.
light-skinned, and that's the thing. Like my nickname back home was Light-Skinned Rome.
Do you
They call me LSR. Yeah,
really LSR?
yeah, LSR.
Yeah. Do you think your son will ever experience these kind of issues?
He only will when he is around his parents. That's the only unfortunate thing is my son is always going to be probably like, dude, this kid's so cool. Oh my God. And then I'm going to walk in and be like, oh shit, that's your dad? Is he black? Like, yeah, you're black.
So your son is super white.
He looks super white. Yeah. But I mean, the thing is, and like, they'll see like his mom and be like, you're Chinese? You like, or hear him speak Chinese to my mom, like to his mom, and like,
I think that's very cool.
oh man,
Very cool.
He speaks better Chinese now than I do, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, he's only 2, he just turned 2, and I'm just, oh man, this kid's gonna be.
How can you make your kid strong to endure the kind of discrimination that
Talk to him.
well, not he probably is not going to get it, but he's going to be facing discrimination against his parents. That's a
to him.
totally different.
I'm telling you right now, you may think that talking to a kid and trying to explain this is impossible, but if you just talk to him, like I'm telling you, man, there's so many things I just tell my son, and they're like always telling me like, you can't do that, you can't do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're just very open, right?
Yeah. So yeah,
Real.
you just got to
just
talk
real,
to him.
yeah.
That's the biggest thing.